Kobeni.
Denji, 食わせろ。
My beloved. You should have been the one to fill my dark soul with light. What do I do now? I know, let's talk about the true villain of Chainsaw Man, Denji's dick? This chapter was the something. It begins picking directly up from the last chapter with Katana Man telling Denji about his top-notch super bestest brothel so he can get his happy ending. Well, as is customary, Denji's wife calls him gross. Speaking for her husband, she says something like sex is the last thing on Denji's mind right now, and well, just like last chapter, she turns to Denji and asks, right? Well, Asa Mitaka, you didn't read part 1 of Chainsaw Man, because Denji, upon hearing this, looks as if he's had an eye-opening moment, a life-changing experience, as Asa looks at him with a blank face. He touches his face in various ways. I swear, if Mappa doesn't animate this like how Kazuma, like moves his fingers to steal, then I'll write an angry tweet. I'll be really mad for like 5 seconds. Asa, hoping he's not thinking what he's inevitably thinking about, tries to remind him that he needs to be looking for Nayata and to eat so that he can begin searching. Well, Denji, feeling himself, but actually literally, as he's back to touching his face as if he just tried lotion for the first time, he says, and I quote, "Now that he mentions it, I haven't masturbated at all lately." You what?
You what?
I don't even know what to say. Everyone is silent. Even Asa is in disbelief. But yeah, Denji is thinking about this long and hard. Innuendo is 100% intended. He thinks that the reason for all of this depression may be in due part to him not getting a sexual release. He even tries to sound super smart and intellectual like a podcaster, as he says, like physically. No, Asa, you don't get it. Scientifically speaking, man. I don't even know what to say. Even Asa is in disbelief as she says, "What the hell?" Which is what I have to say about this entire chapter, really. Also, where is Kobeni? I'm starting to lose it. Wasn't this supposed to be about Kobeni? Didn't we all have a theory about Kobeni being here? Anyways, Asa tells Denji they're all worried about him and all he can think about is sex. He tries to explain that this is a dude thing, like getting hungry or sleepy, but specifically just for guys. He even tries to get the other men to chime in, but Asa has had enough of it and calls him a despicable, shameless pig, once again reminding him about Nayata. But still, Denji, as if he's just an Attack on Titan character going insane, says that, well, of course he is. It's physically, it's scientifically, he needs to take care of his sex drive. So they go to what is left of Shower Massage Condom Girl. Interesting name, Katana Man's brothel. Well, it's been burned down to the ground, nothing left, and I love Katana Man's face upon seeing it. Oh, classic. Asa, seeing it, rejoices though, as she's pretty right. This entire thing was ridiculous. Denji, though, is catatonic as it starts to rain. I couldn't help but laugh at that. This entire scenario is so borked. And now on top of that, we're gonna get Denji crying in the rain at the sight of a burned down brothel? Where is Kobeni? Denji collapses to the ground, and Asa, in as much disbelief as me, witnesses her husband having a touching realization about himself, because of course he would. This is Tatsuki Fujimoto, the man who recorded himself trying to levitate. Denji finally has a come to Jesus moment. I guess there's a pun there, I don't know. About how he can't ever keep his priorities straight. After his pets died, Nayata went missing, and trying to go to a brothel, he went even deeper. He questions himself wanting to be Chainsaw Man for acknowledgement, saying it's a load of crap. He knows that deep down inside himself, all he wanted was for women to be all over him so that he could have sex with as many women as possible. And I think this is a lot to unpack. I guess one of the ways you can kind of see this is that it is a representation of something deeper, and sex and attention from women it's more than just that. When I first read this, I thought that wanting the ladies to be all over him means he wants physical contact, but really all that comes with it, which is having a connection to someone and people. Remember, in like chapter, I think it was like 93 of Chainsaw Man, he said he wanted to have tons of sex. Well, in chapter 127, he said he wanted to live to just have sex. It's kind of building up upon a lot of what has happened in part 1 and part 2. And it's the same here. He wants a meaningful connection to people so that he doesn't feel alone anymore. And it's interesting that with how many people there are around Denji, the only person who is close to him is Nayuta. He doesn't have any friends. They all died. And he doesn't have any relationships with women because they all might as well be dead. He's searching for a deeper connection, and in Denji's head, that means intimate contact with people. That's how it manifests. So when he realizes Nayuta is gone, he now needs to feed that part of himself, and with nobody else there who cares about him, which is obviously untrue, he thinks going to a brothel will help him. As he said himself, he's thinking about this scientifically, which is another way to say now that his emotional connections to people are all severed, all he can do now is insert logic in the place of emotion to carry him forward. But what he needs the most in that moment is to address the issue, not mask it with sex and skin. If anything, he needs to shed the skin and look at who he truly is, deep down. He says that he's always thinking with his dick, and when Bro Benny chuckles at him, he yells back that it's not funny, and I'm not gonna lie, it is. It's kind of hella funny. But he yells out in pain that it's all his dick's fault and that he can't fight and that it ruins everything around him, and as he punches the ground like Vegeta because he wants to be a Super Saiyan. The way Fujimoto portrays Denji as a petulant child here is rather interesting, as it's very much in line with his character, as his emotional growth since being a child is stunted. So having no parental figures or people to help him in life, of course, he collapses to the ground and acts like a child. Most importantly, he's frustrated because everything is starting to all add up, from the deaths of his found family and the betrayal of Makima to Nayuta's disappearance and his contract with Pochita, and so much more. He's blaming his dick, but deep down he's blaming himself. And he's blaming himself for his shortcomings of not being able to properly handle all of the things that he hasn't been able to address. He went from losing Aki and power directly to raising a child as a teenager. He hasn't even been able to handle his childhood either. So of course he's frustrated and blames himself for everything going wrong in his life. Of course he tells himself that it's his dick that ruins everything around him because he thinks he's not enough, that he's screwed everything up. Everyone who died before him or betrayed him, well, that might as well be because he's Chainsaw Man. And as well, he's been told time and time again that the only reason people want him is because of what's inside of his chest, not for who he is. I mean, he might as well have been a bystander in all of that, except for maybe Rize. To him, Chainsaw Man and Denji might as well be two separate entities, and it's Chainsaw Man that he thinks has ruined his life. As it continues to rain, Asa looks on with a worried face, and Yoru comes out to deliver what is possibly the greatest line in the history of Chainsaw Man. Quote, "Your pecker's the problem? Then I'll cut it off for you. Come with me," as she points to an alley. Okay. Anyway, this chapter has so much interesting stuff going on. While Denji falls apart, it really is interesting to see what the others are doing. Katana is in disbelief, ignoring what's happening to Denji. The boys are pretty passive, and at worst, laugh at Denji. Asa and Fami try to help, but are too immature to even understand what a 17-year-old boy is going through at all, let alone this. And Yoru, well, is an idiot trying to emasculate Denji to solve his issues. The clear answer to me sits somewhere neatly in the middle of the road, as most things do in life typically. Denji should look inward, not to reject himself, but to accept himself. Instead of blaming Chainsaw Man and blaming himself, he needs to accept that these things are a part of him. What makes him a unique and desirable individual is the chainsaw dog in his chest and the raging pervert in his dick, so to speak. I mean, think about it. Why does Asa care about Denji so much? It's because Denji, as Chainsaw Man, saved her, right? She already likes him for who he is. Now, all Denji needs to do is love himself. Realize that, for better or for worse, he's gonna think with his dick and put things to the side he probably shouldn't at times. But the best thing to do in that moment is calmly realize and notice all of these patterns and these loops of thinking, and to stop feeding the things that make his life worse. For example, yesterday was my birthday. I thought today maybe Fujimoto would give me Kobeni. He didn't. I'm angry about it. I'm pretty mad. I may write a tweet, who knows? But it's not the fact that he thinks with his dick, it's that he allows himself to think with his dick and later regrets it in a cycle that never concludes. He needs to start loving himself, because the moment he does that, then the acceptance will come from not only himself, but from this group of fictional women he's built up in his head. There is nothing wrong with who Denji is as a person. I'd argue he's right where he actually needs to be given what he's been through in his traumatic life. But what is wrong is him rejecting himself, and if he goes along with Yoru's plan to cut his dick off, which I don't think he will, then he's choosing the wrong path. For the next couple of weeks, I'm going to try out short intros and short outros of my video, so let me know how they work for you guys. But thank you all so much for watching. I want to say thank you for last week's video being a major success with nearly 10,000 views. I love you all so much, and I hope you have a great week. Sadly, Bi-Weekly Devil had a training arc, and now he's back with a vengeance, so our next chapter is on June the 4th. I shall now go dormant and wait. Thank you all so much for your support. Bye-bye.